Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you might be joining from. I am HR Funk, and welcome to HR's Firing Line, the online show that attempts to answer your questions, respond to your comments, and make you aware of all the things that are going on here at the home office. By the way, I'm thinking about trying to come up with a different name for the home office because home office sounds kind of bland. I was thinking about maybe calling it the chief's office, and I'm not a chief of police anymore. I retired from that job about 2.5 years ago. But I think maybe it would be okay if I use that moniker just to give my home office a little bit of personality. So let me know what you think of that during the show. See if you like that idea of calling it the chief's office, or if you have a different idea of something to call my home office here. And along those lines, I don't know if I ever told you all this or not, but I was probably the most unlikely person ever to become a chief of police because at least during the first half of my career, I thought that would be the worst job in all of law enforcement, to be a chief and just sit in an office all day and worry about budgets and scheduling and personnel issues and all that kind of thing. And that's definitely the downside of it. But what you learn after a while in law enforcement, and I think this is probably true in a lot of other careers as well, is you can only affect so much change in your organization from the lower tiers of the organization. And I definitely know that's true in law enforcement. You know, as a patrol officer and even as a sergeant, I would see things in the department that I didn't like or I thought could be done better, or new ways to do things or whatever. And from those positions, even if you make suggestions, a lot of times the response you get is, okay, thank you very much. And then that's the last it's ever heard of. So eventually you learn the only way you can try to make a positive change in your organization is to move up to the higher and higher levels. And there is a lot of good things that go with that. All of you that currently are not at a supervisory level, you might not understand that. I certainly didn't back at that point in my career, that you really have to take those steps and accept some of those responsibilities that come with the supervisory positions in order to hopefully be able to effect those positive changes. And for all of you who really don't have a high opinion of your supervisors, now sometimes that not having a high opinion is earned by people in those supervisory positions, but also there is a lot that goes to that. The biggest change I know in my law enforcement career was going from the point where I was responsible only for myself and my activities to where I was responsible for all the people that were assigned to my shift, my officers, my dispatcher, any civilian personnel that might be working, all that. That is a huge, huge step. I think it's even bigger than going from civilian to being police officer, because when you go through that transition, you go to an academy and people teach you all about how you're going to be a police officer. Then you go to your department and you're an FTO program. So you learn all the specific ways that things are done in your department by someone who's experienced, and they're teaching you that. And you get months and months and months worth of guidance and supervision and everything else. When you go from being a police officer to being a supervisor, somebody tosses you the keys to the sergeant's office and says, there you go, congratulations on your promotion. By the way, don't screw up. And that's pretty much all the preparation you get for moving into that position. So you learn a lot very, very quickly. And for me, I know that transition actually took a long time, took a number of years till I really felt comfortable in that supervisory position. And then each step you take over and above that initial supervisor's position is just kind of, it's easier because it's more or less just another step down that same road. So I've been rambling for a while and I'm not looking at any of the questions or comments or anything else. So let me jump over here and see who all we have. Oh, by the way, I want to say a special hello to Blakely and Walker, who are watching with their grandfather Hod 8. Thanks for watching, both of you. I hope you enjoy the show, and I hope you can sit there with your grandfather and enjoy this. I know that the times that I spent with my grandfather doing anything were times that I treasure nowadays when I look back at those experiences and those memories. So I hope Blakely and Walker will have those kind of same memories with you, Hot 8. So now, as I said, back to the comments and questions here. And okay, good. So looks like gonna try to talk the dad into watching too. Good. Joe Morgan is here. BR is here. Art Grote, KD Cowboy. Hi to all of you. SDS Imports, thank you for joining. I'm glad you made it. I was talking to, I think I can say your name. I was talking to Jared earlier from SDS Imports, so thank you very much. And I just so everyone knows, I've got some kind of exciting things in the works here with not only SDS, but with some other companies who I've been talking back and forth to. Hopefully, we're going to get some products coming in pretty quickly that I can get reviewed for all of you and get some good video content out. You might have all noticed a difference in the video format of late. And I talked about this back during a live stream that I did during the summer. I am really tired of trying to, what I'll say is chase monetization on YouTube by trying to read the tea leaves and circumnavigate their very ambiguous rules and everything else. So I'm just going to make the videos that I want to make, and YouTube's either going to monetize them or they're not. They're either going to kick me off or they're not. But I really have felt, probably for the last year or so, like my video content is suffering somewhat by trying to make sure that I'm towing the line with all of these rules that, and it hasn't done any good. They still just willy-nilly demonetize videos with no, rhyme or reason whatsoever. So just like recently, I produced the video where I was taking the in-depth look at the Smith & Wesson M&P 1.0 and doing the detailed disassembly and all that. And you're going to see more of those kind of things. If I want to modify a firearm by, say, installing an optic or something crazy like that, I'm just going to do it. And that's just all there is to it. So you're going to see more of those kind of things coming up in the video. And as I said, you've probably already noticed some differences in the way that the videos are being formatted and some of the things that you're seeing. So good. That is Jared. That's from SDS Imports. Thanks a lot for joining. If anyone has any questions about Tizosh firearms or Mac firearms, or I'm trying to think of everything else that's in the line right now, but that's the person to pose them to. And by the way, Jared, I'll throw this out now. If you would like to come on as a guest, if you shoot me an email to my email address right here, I can send you a link to the live stream and bring you on kind of impromptu here to do a quick discussion about SDS. Any information you would like to share would be great. And for the rest of you, if you'll leave the email open for a little bit, so if Jared does want to send me that, we can bring him on, and all of you will get to hear what he has to say. And if not, if Jared's not able to or just doesn't want to right now, that's fine. I'll open it up to all of you, and anyone that wants to join the show obviously can do so. We've done that in the past, and I always enjoy having you come on and trying to get live face-to-face discussions as opposed to when I see the chat down the side. And so many of you I know, and I've talked to you. Some of you I've actually seen face-to-face. A lot of you I haven't. It's always so nice to be able to put a face with the name and be able to have an actual discussion. As always, if you join as a guest, you have the option either to have your camera turned on and we can do the split screen face-to-face discussion, or you can keep your camera turned off. We'll just have an audio discussion back and forth. So that's up to you, however you'd like to join. Robert KF1 is here. Command Center 10-8. Good afternoon to you. Joseph, looks like Simonis. Thanks for joining. Craig Benz, you do you, let YouTube chips follow. That's really what I've decided to do. And like I said, if they kick me off of here someday, then it was good while it lasted. But I'm just tired of a lot of the stuff that happens on here with YouTube. Ray Bodie likes to change in the videos. Good. I hope the rest of you do as well. Donna Lim is here. Hello to you. Alexander Stroder. Frank Butta is here. Dragged himself out of his sick bed. Hi to you, Frank. I hope you get well soon. Ray Bodie is putting in a vote for people to join the channel. If anyone wants to become a channel member, all you have to do is click the little button that's at the bottom of the viewer windows for each of the videos that says join, and it'll walk you through the process to become a channel member. Donna Lim, any chance to squeeze in a service rifle match before the winter sets in? Probably not. I shot, I think, in one service rifle match this year with my M1, and I was pretty happy because I think I took second place in the match. But that was the only one that I managed to make it to this year. KD Cowboy, apparently in this blue state, if I buy a pump shotgun, I can get one with every possible feature like folding stock, bayonet, lug, etc. You just can't buy any other firearms with that many features. Interesting. So shotguns are okay, but you can't get anything else. And if you don't mind, let me know if it's okay to mention where you live, KD. If not, then I won't say that. I know, but of course, the rest of you don't. Joseph Siminas got your name. Good. Or Simonis, rather. Good. I try. I do my best with names. I don't always, but I do try. KD Cowboy looked at a Remington 870 with wood furniture. Cool. Trench guns are fine. Oh, let me throw this out too, and I'll probably mention this one or two more times during the show today. On Saturday, November the 11th, on Veterans Day, I am going to be at Hop Munitions in Hayesville, Ohio. And a lot of us have talked for a long time about trying to have a get together somewhere and, actually have people stop by and meet and talk and all that. I am going to be at Hop Munitions. And if you're not familiar with the location, you can go to hopmunitions.com and get their address. It's on the south side of the tiny village of Hayesville, Ohio, right on Ohio State Route 60. And I'll be there probably beginning when they open the doors at 9 o'clock in the morning, and I'll stay there until they kick me out. And I told them I don't know what to expect. It might just be me sitting there all day with nobody to talk to, and the place might be overrun. So the good thing is they got lots of firearms there to look at, lots of ammunition if you need to stock up, lots of other products if you need them. So there's that, and I'm going to try to be there. So hopefully as many of you can make it as possible, and it should be a good time. They're talking about having food trucks and one thing and another is there. So be able to eat if you're hungry and grab something to drink if you're thirsty. So hopefully that will be a great time. Again, Saturday, November the 11th, it's going to be on Veterans Day. Ray Bodine leading toward getting a black powder revolver after your video. And tomorrow's video is also going to feature a black powder revolver. It's actually going to feature the same one because so many of you have asked me in the past when I have a video that features a black powder firearm or specifically a black powder revolver, what my process is for cleaning. And I have a simplified process for cleaning my black powder revolvers, and I'm going to demonstrate that in tomorrow's video. Normally, it only takes me 15 or maybe 20 minutes. Probably takes, truthfully, about the same time, maybe less time as it does to clean a traditional, conventional revolver with metal case cartridges. So that'll be coming up tomorrow. Coming up next week, I have a video that I'm very much looking forward to with a traditional Smith & Wesson revolver, so that should be fun. And again, I've got a bunch of things that are in the works. And let me just check the mail. I didn't hear anything from the email ring, and no. So it looks like nobody's here. And so I'll open it up to the rest of you now. If anybody wants to join as a guest, just shoot me an email to hrfunk@zoominternet.net. And by the way, I have people ask me different times in the comment section to videos about sending me an email. This is the email to use if you want to send me any kind of videos for a comment. Did I say any kind of videos? If you want to send me any kind of comments to a video or what have you, and you want to send an email, use this internet address. I can't put it in the comment section of the videos because YouTube's system views that as a link to a website or whatever. So they automatically delete it. If you try to put your email address in a comment, or if you try to put a link to a video or whatever, it auto deletes. I don't get it. That's just the only links I can put in there are links to YouTube videos. They'll allow those. So if I want to put a link to one of my videos or another YouTube video, it'll allow that, but I cannot put in my email. I can't put in a link to an outside website. And if you try to put one in there, it auto deletes. So if you want to send me an email for some reason, this is the email address to use. Um, I received a donation today, which I greatly appreciated, and I would like to say a special thank you. This actually came as a letter in the mail for a $50 donation to the channel. And I would like to mention this person's name, but again, I don't have permission to do that. I don't know if he would like to remain anonymous. So I won't mention it, but I'm sure you know who you are that mailed that $50 donation. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That all goes right into my account for the channel. It goes right back into producing the videos. So thank you very much. Joseph Simonis lives in Defiance, Ohio. I've been to Defiance, so it's been a while, but I have been there. 50 miles southeast of Toledo. I just went through Toledo a couple of weeks ago. Oh, and that's another thing. Some of you aware that I've had some things going on in my private life here recently. Nothing bad for me or for Mimi. That's a poor way to say it. Anyway, that has had an impact on my video production. So you've noticed some of the shorter, or some short videos coming out and things like that. That's the reason why I think everything is going to get back more to normal now, or at least as normal as things get around here. And we'll hopefully see that progression back to the videos that you're accustomed to seeing. I've been trying to use some of the short videos recently to cover, little topics. The challenge with the video shorts is I have to try to say what I'm going to say in 60 seconds or less. That can be really difficult to try to cover the bases I want to cover all within 60 seconds. And you'll hear me, I sound kind of like an auctioneer in those things because I'm talking so quickly. That's the reason why. And I've been trying to address some things in there. I had the one yesterday where I was talking about, tactics. I had one recently where I was talking about a magazine, a sort of a universal magazine holder that you can put on your belt. So I've been trying to use those things to the best advantage. I'll try to continue doing that. But that's why when you see those things pop up in your video feed, it's something where I want to get out just a quick information blast on something, kind of like I did with the a show today. I did a short video, and then I did essentially the exact same video that I uploaded in regular YouTube format. And then I also did a community post because so many people were telling me in the past that they weren't getting notifications when I was going to have a live stream and other things as well, but the live stream primarily. So I tried to do that just to get that information out to as many of you as possible. And it looks like it helped because we've got 44 people here right now. So that's cool. And just bumped up to 47. So even better. And hopefully we'll get more and more as the show goes on. And Rabbi, Rabbi just made a $5 contribution to the channel. Thank you very much, Rabbi. If you're any of you who don't know Rabbi, he is a regular viewer, regular member of the channel. Always great for some comments. And thank you very much for that $5 contribution. Says, feed your Glock some yummy wolf ammo. And speaking of wolves, I hope some of you saw the Halloween special. I mentioned during the last show that I was not absolutely certain I was going to be doing a Halloween special. And some of you threatened me with a mostly peaceful protest if there was no Halloween show. So I did a quick one. It was fun. It featured Where Chewy. And by the way, Where Chewy is on the floor beside me right now, laid out. And I can't really... Hey, Chewy, come up here. Come up here. Come on. Come here. Come up here and say hi to everybody. Come on. He is not... He's being camera shy. Come here. Come on. Come on. Come up here. Come on. Come over here. Come up here. And here he is. Here is Chewy for everyone to see. I introduced him in a short video a while back. Mimi decided that we had to have a dog, so we got him. He is now 4 months old. He is a golden doodle, and he's kind of a goofball. He's pretty funny. So I decided to use him in the Halloween show, but this is Chewy live and in the flesh, and now he can go back to laying on the floor and doing next to nothing, which is actually his favorite activity. When he's not running around like a maniac. That's his second bit. He's got like 2 speeds, stop and full go. It's kind of like having a toddler again, and there's like nowhere in the middle. And let's see. Daryl Schertz says, good to see the grid still up. 556 is up $5 a box since Monday in Utah. I haven't noticed it going up here. And Hot 8 just made a $5 contribution too. Thank you, Hot 8. And hopefully the grandkids are enjoying the show. Thanks again to Blakely and Walker for watching. Katie Cowboys, anyone noticed ammo prices going up? I haven't noticed them going up online yet. I know there was the announcement. I'm not sure if it came late last week or earlier this week about Lake City only producing ammunition for the military or some such nonsense. Given the fact that we're sending as much ammunition as we are to Ukraine, and also it looks like we're going to have some kind of a role in this war in Israel. I guess I'm not absolutely surprised by that move, but hopefully it's not going to be the lead in to another ammo drought like we seem to go through every few years. And a lot of people saying hi to Chewy. Ammo is going up, but gas is fine. Yeah, I noticed gas prices going down. Am I the only one that's worried by that? I don't know. Something about that seems weird because particularly with the situation in Israel, I would have expected just the opposite. I would have expected gas prices to go up. I don't know. It just has me worried because it seems like what we would not expect to have happen. D-Life heard CCI just sold to a Czech company. I had not heard that. Isn't CCI owned by federal? I think they're all under the same umbrella, and I can't tell you now just exactly who owns that or who the main company is. All's at full. The new U.S. battle rifle is going to start taking a lot of their time as well. Yeah, I wonder. There was a lot of information about that early on, the new battle rifle, and then it just sort of all died out. So I assume those are shipping and military units are receiving them, but I just haven't heard much about it recently. Remington ammo was just sold to a Czech company. Gas is falling is to make us not worry. Yeah, and I haven't heard they didn't do something silly like release the strategic oil reserves again or something like that, did they? I say they, it's a he, basically. Chewy or where Chewy? Well, the full moon is not up right now, so it's just Chewy, but you never know what might happen later on tonight. Rabbi got my comment deleted for saying something about Jimmy Carter and something about Israel. Yeah, and that's YouTube. And not just YouTube. There's a lot of the tech companies that are engaged in those same sort of shenanigans, deleting comments and one thing and another. And I am very skeptical right now of a lot of the numbers that I see coming in on the channel, view numbers, comments. I think I talked about this the last time that when I post a video, it's like I get a smattering of comments early on, and then they just stop. And there's this like period of time, maybe half an hour or so, and then the comments start to come in again. It's very obvious to me that they're being reviewed, and then there's some sort of an approval process for the comments coming in. And I just wonder how many comments never actually make it to my videos or make it into the community posts or whatever because of that weird filtering process. Thank God YouTube is here to only allow critical think or correct thinking. Yep, the thought police. Ray Bodie don't like the 6.8 for the military. They have been kicking that around for ever, going to something other than the 556. And I guess that's what they settled on. We'll see. Time will tell whether or not there's any wisdom to that move. Vista Outdoor is sold to a Czech company. All right. Yeah, I hadn't heard that. Gas was down to 2.99 in Florida. It's about that price here. I didn't notice today. I was out a little while ago to get a couple of things, and I passed a gas station or two, but I didn't pay any attention to the prices I drove by. But the last time I looked, it was in that right around $3, 305, 2.99, somewhere in that neighborhood in my area here. Scott Person just saw a PSA is selling their guns through gun stores. One gun store is selling the compact dagger for $279, less expensive than going through PSA. That's interesting. I just saw something within the last couple of days where somebody was talking, and now that I think about it, it was Paul Harrell. He was talking about he was trying to get a PSA firearm for a video that he was doing, and there was a particular gun shop that didn't like ordering PSA firearms because they had to order them essentially at the same price that PSA was selling them for. So the only thing that gun shop got was whatever they charged for a transfer fee, and they weren't crazy about that. So I wonder if maybe PSA has changed that policy and they're selling wholesale to gun shops now who can turn around and sell it retail. I don't know. Jeff Barron, our nearest gas station went up 7% today. All right, so clearly that falling gas price is not the same everywhere. Rabbi sick of seeing everyone's Israel flag. Where have you all been? Jeff Timms, 329 in Florida. It's a little more expensive down there. Jeff Tim, 6.8 millimeter means Swedes were right 2 centuries ago. Wow, down to 265 near Rabbi. So good, at least that you can fill up cheap. Like I said, I hope that's just not a precursor to something else, something that's not so good. 299 in Eastern North Carolina. So yeah. Rabbi said the local gun shop said that half their revenue comes from FFL transfers. Yeah, and I suppose a lot of it depends on how much they charge and kind of what their business strategy is. Around here, I think it's pretty common, $25-ish for an FFL transfer. I have no idea what other, what the charges might be in other areas. So yeah, I talked about the Halloween special. Again, I want to remind everybody, I said I was going to say this several times during the video. On November the 11th, Saturday, coming up here, was that going to be 3 weeks from tomorrow, maybe? I am going to be at House of Pain Armament in Hayesville, Ohio. I'm going to be there probably all day, starting at 9 o'clock in the morning. So if anyone is nearby and you want to stop in and say hi, I will be there during that time. And for directions, if you go to www.houseofpainmunitions.com, you can get the actual address and plug that into your mapping software and find out how far it is and how long it's going to take you to get there and all that. And like I said, I'll probably throw that out at least one more time during the show. Katie Cowboy, $50 transfer fee for there. So yeah, that's probably how some of these places are making money. If they're not selling their inventory, but they're doing a lot of transfers for people to make online purchases or whatever, then if they get a little bit more money for it, then that's going to be a profitable thing for them to get into. Of course, if you're the one who's purchasing online, you have to factor in that $50 transfer fee to the price of whatever you purchased, along with shipping and credit card charges and whatever. Rabbi is asking how Second Chance Canine is doing. I have not talked to Travis Hall for a while. My understanding is they're doing well. He is, for any of you who don't know, he's a Army Special Forces soldier, and I know he is doing all kinds of training, conducting training for a lot of other soldiers here, and with everything that's going on around the globe, that shouldn't come as a shock to anybody. I'm not sure how much time he's actually had to devote to Second Chance Canine over the last few months. Shooter 120 says we get dinged $9 per firearm transfer in New York now and $2.50 per ammo sale. That's not surprising for you folks living in New York. It's just another one of those annoying regulations that comes down there. It seems like they shouldn't be able to do that, but then again, the federal government throws on an excise tax for firearms, so they get their cut of it too. Jeff Tim says Top Gun Supply does PSA transfer for $40, almost as much as a lower. Yeah. Scott Person has an FFL that does them for $15, so that's cool. And Mr. Booch says, Chief, which is better in your opinion, Colt Python 2020 or Smith & Wesson Model 19? I have never shot one of the new Pythons, and it's been a long, long time since I shot one of the old ones. I always have a preference for Smith & Wesson firearms because I'm so accustomed to shooting them. The new Model 19 is significantly lower in price than the Python. So I would probably lean that direction. But if you have somebody who's partial to Colts, they might go the other direction. So performance wise, it's probably 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. I don't know that you're going to get, that much greater accuracy or longevity or what have you out of one over top of the other. So so much of that comes down to personal preference. I think it's kind of a Ford Chevy type of a debate there. All's at full. Anyone with the new Gersan MCP35 lightweight, please send one to HR. I'm working on that. That's one of the firearms that I have in the works to test. So hopefully I'll be able to get one of those in the near future. In fact, I need to check on that because it's been a little while since I heard anything on that front to see if I can get one of those into test. J78, these crooks by me all have $50 for transfers. Found a pawn shop that would do it for 35, so it's a little bit better. Yeah, and I think probably that's that with so many FFLs that are doing all these transfers. Like we talked about a little while ago, they're not selling their inventory. So if they're going to have some sort of income stream for the business or revenue stream, they're going to have to do something. So that's probably what's driving a lot of those higher transfer fees. Rob Coons here where he is in Kentucky, it's $25. Yeah, and that's about what it is around here. Maybe $5 one way or the other, but about $25. Rabbi's asking for the best semi-automatic shotgun for around $1,000. By the way, Rabbi, I got your message from yesterday. I looked at it on my phone earlier today, and I completely forgot to reply. So I apologize for that. I did see it. I will shoot you a response to that when I get done with the show here. J78, how do you feel about the GP100? Good revolver, good strong revolver. Been around for a long time. No real issues to speak of. Again, I'm always partial to the Smith revolvers personally, but there's nothing wrong with the GP100. Brian Kramer just joined, but love the Chiefs office. Thank you. So yeah, if you missed it at the very beginning of the show, I said I was trying to think of a name to call the home office here. That's just has a little more pizzazz than calling it the home office. Thought about calling it the Chiefs office. So if you guys like that idea, let me know. Scott Person, get your CNR and avoid transfer fees on military and collectible guns. I have thought about doing that. so many times I've gone to the ATF website and looked through the process, and it's one of those things I think, yeah, I really ought to do that, and then I procrastinate and end up not doing it. So maybe sooner or later I'll get around to it. Any non-firing replica for the show? No, that's one thing that I haven't done for quite a while now, because that is something that I think, given half a chance, YouTube will kick me off for having the non-firing replicas. By the way, it's time for a coffee refill. So I've not been doing that. I don't know if I feel rebellious one of these days, maybe I'll start doing it again. By the way, if you wonder what the creature is that's flopping around behind me, that's Chewy on the floor. Shooter 120 had a GP 100 10 years ago. Misses it, but the new Python beats it. Single action trigger isn't as nice as Smith & Wesson. The Bee Chief's lair. Chief's lair. I don't know. That sounds like I should have all the lights off in here and be hiding back in the shadows somewhere, so all you see are eyes coming out or something like that. And that's right. Coffee is never too far away. I put that in there so it stay nice and warm, and that way I can fill up during the show, which also helps keep my voice going. A lot of times I get in here and I start talking and I'm going and going and going. And next thing you know, my voice is starting to kind of crack and whatever. So this helps keep everything lubricated and makes it a little bit easier to keep on going with the show. And wow, we've already been at this for over half an hour. So it's amazing how fast time goes by when I get in here and I start, looking at the comments going down the screen. Again, I'll throw out the invitation to anybody that wants to join as a guest. And let me make sure nobody has sent anything that I missed. And no. So if you want to join as a guest, definitely shoot me an email. I will send you a link to the show here, and you can come on and we can actually have a conversation. Now, everybody who's watching is going to be able to hear and see the conversation, so just keep that in mind. And also remember, it's a family show. GY says there's been a jump in civilians requesting firearms license. Israeli minister. Oh, okay, that's a quote apparently. So yeah, and Rabbi can probably explain this better than I can. From my understanding, and I am not an expert on the state of Israel, but my understanding is at one time firearms ownership in Israel was very, very common, and lots of people owned firearms, and there was not a lot of restrictions. And then there was some sort of a catastrophe, somebody committed a mass murder or what have you, and all of a sudden the restrictions on firearms ownership in Israel became much, much more stringent, to the point that now a lot of civilians living in Israel don't own firearms, which you would think if there was any place on the planet where firearms ownership would be encouraged, if not permitted, it would be in Israel. But hopefully they will change that legislation, and that can go back to the point where people have the means to protect themselves there. This just took a jump. Says could have a shooter 120 say could have a segment called Into the Chief's Office. I don't know, because that might cause people to not want to watch. Brian Kramer, love the why I became chief talk. Good info for anyone that wants to become wants to go into management. Yeah, I don't mind sharing that. I like to think that I've learned some things over the years and grown a little wiser as time went by. And all the things that I believed when I was a younger police officer didn't necessarily carry through later in my career. And I've thought before too. Sergeant Funk, Chief Funk might not have really liked Officer Funk all that much. There might have been some friction there, but again, we learn and we grow as we get older, and hopefully we get a little wiser along the way. What caliber is best for silhouettes with a TC contender? I don't know what was the best. I think my favorite when I had a contender was the 357 Maximum. I had a 13-inch barrel custom made for uh, 357 Maxi, and I was getting velocities out of that thing with 180 grain Spire Point bullets, the Hornady single shot pistol bullets that were, man, what was I getting with those? 1850, something like that. I know I shot a deer with it one time and I almost felt sorry for the deer because it dropped over like it had been, struck by lightning or something. So that was my favorite. And a lot of people have a lot of other favorites, I'm sure, but I really like that Maxi cartridge out of my contender. I'm just dropping down through here. Oh, Rabbi, there was a security guard that murdered his wife, and all of a sudden that was apparently what altered firearms ownership in Israel. I knew something had happened. I thought it was more than one person that was killed, but that was apparently what did it. Scott Person, the local gun shop, said they were getting a lot of Jewish firearms purchasers. Yeah, and I've heard similar things like that in this area as well. Uh, which, again, you can't blame people when they're scared. It always catches my attention when people get scared, just like when 9/11 occurred here. When people get scared, a lot of nonsense goes out the window because people want the means and the people that are going to be able to keep them safe. Then when they start to feel more secure again, then all of a sudden you see these restrictions start to creep in and people being critical of whoever, law enforcement, military, whoever out there, until the next time something happens, and then we see the pendulum swing back the other way. J78 just drove home through Chicago and rolled up the windows. They don't honor any other state's CCWs. Yeah, and I was in Chicago. Oh, it's been a little over a year ago, and I did not take a firearm with me, even though I think under the Law Enforcement Officers Safety Act, I would be okay carrying a firearm. I just didn't want to run into any possible legal entanglements. So one of the few times, generally, if someone sees me, that means I'm not in the shower. If I'm not in the shower, I have a firearm somewhere on my person. And when I'm in the shower, I have one close by, so don't get any ideas. But yeah, that was one time, when I was in New York City a few years ago, I did not take a firearm there just because, again, I don't want to have any problems. And Rabbi's getting a lot of questions now, which is good. He's a lot more knowledgeable to answer some of those questions than I am. I agree with you, Trexter. By the way, I love the screen name. I'm a lifelong Star Trek fan. Tony York, never understand Jewish folks being anti-gun. Not all of them are. There are some conservative Jewish folks that are very pro-firearm, but there are also a lot of less conservative Jewish folks that are not so pro-firearm. Might be time to invest in a shower gun. Everyone should have a shower gun. I made that video. What's it been? I probably not a year ago. It might be 6 months ago, where I talked about having a shower gun, and I thought probably people were going to show up and throw a net over me the next time I walked out the door and drag me away somewhere. But so far, that hasn't happened. Alexander 0125 bought a 79 Ruger Standard Mark One. Cool firearm. We'll make your wait a second. Oh, will Mech-Gar Mark II mags work well in it? I don't know the answer to that. If it's a 79 Mark I, if it has the button style magazine release like a 1911, I think the Mech-Gars will work with it. If it's got the heel style magazine release, I don't know. I'm not sure about that. Maybe somebody that's a little bit more knowledgeable of the Ruger 22s can chime in on that. John G, you're legal in every state as long as you have your HR 218 certificate. Yeah, I know, but I don't know. I wonder with some of these jurisdictions that are so anti-gun, how much difficulty you would have convincing everybody involved, DAs and whoever, that you're okay to carry a firearm there. Jeff Tim, Smith& Wesson invented the shower gun with the Model 60 back in 1968. Yes, they did. First all stainless steel firearm was the Smith& Wesson Model 60. Lucky One says firearms are a wonderful thing to have. Otherwise, the government wouldn't be trying to take them. Probably a lot of wisdom in that statement. Oops. I just clicked something and the whole screen lit up. That's the one bad thing. I have a trackpad that I use with my computer here, which I really like. And it helps when I'm editing video because I can do things very quickly on there. I can do it faster with that than I can with a regular mouse. But every once in a while, I inadvertently click it like I did just there, and something weird happens. I have to stop and go, wait, how do I undo that? BATF should be a convenience store, not an agency. Jeff Tim, Washington, D.C. doesn't like anyone carrying. Yeah, I've heard that before too. And there are so many things that you have to be careful of. One of the things is a school safety zone. You should, as a law enforcement officer, I know here in Ohio, as a law enforcement officer, you can have a firearm in a school safety zone, but it doesn't make any inclusion for anyone, LEOSA or retired police officers or what have you. That's something I have to be careful of. There are other locations where a police officer can carry a firearm, an active, police officer that police officers visiting from somewhere else might not be able to, and not knowing all the laws in all the other states, it makes it kind of dicey. You can't hover over a trackpad. Yeah, I know. GY is leaving. Thanks for joining. I'm glad you made it. I just got something that came across my watch, but apparently it was not an email. So I'm still watching that to see if anybody wants to join in the show today. And just clicked over to the email quick to double check. Tony York, in Illinois, the CCW permit allows you to have a weapon in schools, in the school's parking lot. Yeah, and there are a couple of inclusions like that in Ohio. If you are driving through the parking lot for the purposes of dropping off or picking up a child, as long as you don't get out of the car, you're okay. And I believe they've changed it now to where you can secure a firearm in your parking or in your car if it's left in the parking lot. But if you get out of your car, then you have to make sure you don't have your firearm on your person. So it's one of those things where, again, not knowing all the different laws in all the different states, it makes me leery in some of the very, very anti-gun jurisdictions to have a firearm with me. Ray Bodie, I work at a university not long ago, wasn't allowed to bring it on campus. Now it's okay if it stays locked in the car. That's good. Trickster, I do not believe that is accurate at all. Rabbi says, tell me I said hi. I'll do that. What time is it anyway? Yeah, she's probably got another half an hour so she gets off work. She's working hard, making me money so I can sit at home and conduct a live stream. Ben Crane is here. How you doing, Ben? Glad you made it. Tony York talking about locking firearms in the trunk. Rob Coons, federal school zones makes it a felony if you are constitutional carry within 1,000 yards of a school. Yeah, I know, and that's a lot of people don't realize that school safety zone encompasses 1,000 yards around the school from the border, not from like the center of the school building, but from any school property. And there are other things that are enhanced here in Ohio, at least, if they take place within a school safety zone. So that's another thing that you have to keep in mind. Now there are allowances if you're driving through and you're in your car and one thing and another on a public roadway, then that's not going to be in violation. But you just have to be very, very careful anytime you're dealing with a school safety zone. And one last time, I'll throw this out here. You guys that have been watching the whole time are going to get tired of hearing this, but I am going to be at Hot Munitions on Saturday, November the 11th from 9 in the morning until probably about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We have been talking for a long time about trying to get everyone together or at least have a location where everybody can stop in and say hi. So I'm going to be there. If you're within easy driving distance and you want to make the trip, I'll be there. Again, that is in Hayesville, Ohio. And if you go to hotmunitions.com, they'll have the address there that you can plug into your map software and see exactly what route you'll need to take. So November 11th on Veterans Day. I'm trying to decide whether or not to wear my Marine Corps uniform since it's going to be Veterans Day. But I don't know. I'll give that some thought. What do you guys think? Good idea or not such a good idea? I did wear that, and I alluded to this earlier in the show, and I guess I'll expound on it a little bit because there's a point that I want to make. But my father-in-law, who is a veteran of the U.S. Navy, passed away a couple of weeks ago from complications of cancer. And we had his internment at the National Cemetery, which is a little ways north of here, just outside of the city of Rittman, Ohio. And it's a national cemetery for veterans. And I cannot express to all of you enough how impressed I was with everyone at the National Cemetery. They, from the time we got there and they greeted us and they had the interment ceremony and they did a 21 gun salute. There was a Navy commander and a young sailor that were there that, accepted his urn. They took it up and they put it on a table in front of everyone. There was a chaplain there who read a prayer. It was just very, very, very well done. And I just cannot adequately express how impressed I was with the professionalism and the performance of everyone at the Western Reserve National Cemetery just outside of Rittman, Ohio, for the way they conducted that ceremony. So it was tremendous. And if any of them happens to see this show, thank you very much. Richard Mabry, a local high school student, got suspended for having a gun in his car, which was parked off campus, even though he did nothing against the law. That's unfortunate. I don't know any of the particulars of that, so I can't really make a educated comment on it. But I hate to see that happen. It's a designated safety zone. It's impossible for a crime to happen there. That you just solved it, Rabbi. So everybody needs to keep that in mind. Nothing can happen in the designated safety zone. Craig Benz, my thought Model 39-2 has point of impact problems with 115 grain, not so much with 124. Anyone else with a similar problem? I've never noticed that with mine. What are the problems it's having? I assume it's hitting high or low. And it sounds like if you can change that with different ammunitions or a different bullet weight or whatever, that's the easiest way to go. But I've never noticed mine being mine's actually a 39, not 39-2. Yeah, 39-2. That's what mine is. Um, but I've never noticed a point of impact problem with that. Bob Coons, are you sure about driving? Because I've been told by lawyers you can. Um, I cannot comment about every school safety zone in every state. So I can only comment about those here in Ohio. And if you read down through all the laws and you go back and look at the federal law, the way it reads is if you are just driving through on a public roadway inside your vehicle, then there's not a violation of law there. Again, consult your attorney, consult your local laws, and make sure there's nothing in the local jurisdiction that varies from what I'm saying here. Ben Crane, should I bring Advil or Gatorade for What are you suggesting, Ben? Are you suggesting that the holiday, the day before, might have some lingering effects on me? If so, I won't be the only one. Believe me, there will be people around the world that will be waking up that morning thinking, "Oh, I should have not had quite so much last night." Jeff Tim, no on the uniform. Okay. Thank you, Rabbi. I appreciate that. Row boating. When I was in high school, we had hunting rifles and gun rack. Yeah, when I was in school, there were pickup trucks out in the parking lot that had rifles, 22 rifles or shotguns or what have you. Nobody thought twice about it, but those days, unfortunately, are long gone. I lament many times how much I miss the 1980s. Tony York, yeah, same comment about the firearms in the school lots. In Missouri, deer hunting was an excused absence. There are some schools around here, and I don't know if they all still do this or not, but I know there were a lot of them that at least opening day of deer season, they would allow an excused absence for people that were going hunting. That might have changed, but I know particularly in the more rural schools that was not uncommon because the kids weren't going to be there anyway, so they may as well make an excused absence. Franklin Jones, good evening to you. Lucky one, the honor was all mine for both. Thank you. Ben Crane is leaving us. Thanks for joining, Ben. Take care, and I hope to see you soon. The 80s were badass. Yes, they were. And I've been watching this time of year. I always watch, Halloween movies, and so many of them that I like were made in the 1980s. Some of them in the late 70s. The Fog, The Thing with Kurt Russell. I was just watching that last night, and I always say I see the country I remember in old movies and TV shows, and it's funny because it's not so much the people or what they're doing, but it's the clothing style. It's the cars you see parked on the street in the background. It's the music that's playing, in the background on, as they walk into wherever in the movie or the TV show, and it just brings back so many of those memories for me. And Tony York, I missed part of your comment there. And it looks like I'm not going to be able to find it, so I apologize for that. By the way, I usually say this: if I miss a comment that you've put on here, I'm not intentionally ignoring you, but I've got a whole stream of them that I'm trying to keep up with. So if there's something you really want to try to get me to answer or whatever, feel free to put it in there a couple of times, and hopefully I'll see it sooner or later. Ray Bodie had a 303 British Enfield used for deer hunting. That should have done the trick. Mark Hankins, it wasn't bales of pot in Miami during the 80s. It was bales of cash during Christmas. all during customs airplane crash. Franklin Jones, we have a birthday coming up soon. Yes, we do. We didn't listen to Crybabies laughed at. Yeah. There were a lot of things that well, there are a lot of things that occur in schools now that would have gotten you, well, let's just say you would have had an awfully rough time in school back in the 1980s if you did some of the things that kids do nowadays in school. And Hot 8 is bowing out. Take care of the grandkids, Hot 8. Thanks for joining. Have a great day. Richard Mabry, the student, had an issue getting his truck to lock. So he knew he couldn't leave the gun in an unlocked car, put it in his bag, went to a nearby gas station for help. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And I appreciate you kind of explaining what went on with that. Like I said, I was not familiar with the story. So thank you. Jeff Tim, I buy a modern version of a 1980 to 1990s Ford Aerostar van. Haven't found its like since. Yeah, I remember those things. I think the first minivan to come out was the Dodge Caravan. I remember those things back in the day. And Ford might have been the second. Joshua Estes, do you use hollow points for defense with 45 auto? I do. I've got, what is it in there? I've got some older Federal Hydroshocks that I keep loaded in there. That's the ones that typically I use. Although I got to say, with a 45, I also wouldn't feel underprotected if I had it loaded with good hardball ammunition. J78 is leaving us. Thanks for joining, Jay. I'm glad you made it. Have a great day. Lucky one graduated during Vietnam. Some of us small kids who got picked on became heroes in tunnel. Yeah, I'm sure that's true. And thank you for your service in Vietnam. Well, thank you for your service, and especially in Vietnam. I live in the 80s. Eh, I probably do too, Charles. So I'm taking it Craig Benz is not a fan of minivans. I had one once upon a time. It was a nice enough vehicle to haul things in, but it was definitely not the chick magnet that some other vehicles might be. Uh, wow. Zionosis Light Infantry says the first time I shot a centerfire rifle was in 1987. A guy at the gun range let me shoot his HK91. Cool rifle. Delta Elite 10 millimeter and first generation Glock. Wow, that was a cool day. Nice guy. 240 grain Hydroshocks in a Model 29. Yeah, typically in my Model 29, I've got hand loads of one type or another, usually with Hornady XTP bullets. Can you imagine if you wore a helmet while riding a bike in the 1980s? Nope, you'd still be getting laughed at. The people would be older who would be laughing at you, but you'd still be getting laughed at. Scott Person, the 80s were great until HIV. Yeah, you got to take a bad with the good. All right, we just rolled over the 1 hour mark, and I think I'm going to start getting ready to wrap things up. I said I wasn't going to say this again, but I will. Anyone who might be able to make it on November the 11th, Hot Munitions, Hayesville, Ohio. I will be there starting at 9 o'clock, and hopefully we'll be there all day. Thank you to all of you who joined, who participated. Thanks for the donations from Hot 8 and Rabbi. Thanks for all the great comments, all the great questions. I thoroughly enjoy these. I like doing them. I wish I could do them a little bit more often. Like I said, with situation with my father-in-law over the last month or so, my time has been somewhat curtailed, but hopefully we'll be doing these a little bit more frequently now. Um, Questions, comments, anything that you want to send me, feel free to use the email right there. I'll be glad to read them and respond to any of them that might have questions or need information. I hope you all have a great, great weekend. Don't forget the video premiere tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern Daylight Savings Time. That's going to be a fun one. And I'm pretty much out of things to say. So thank you. Thanks to all of you for joining, for participating, for commenting on the videos, and for all of the support you've given the channel for almost 11 years now. We're coming up on 11 years. So thanks. Have a great evening. And until next time, good shooting and bye-bye.